Welcome to this latest video from Fusion IM. Two of the cornerstones of British industry are the chemical and process sectors. They've developed a global reputation for innovation, much of which has come out of North East England, where a strong group of companies have established themselves. One of the challenges though facing these and similar industry sectors is managing ageing assets and how digitalisation can play a role in their long-term maintenance. And joining me in the studio to discuss this is Steve Pearson, Executive Chairman of Fusion IM, and down the line I'm delighted to welcome Philip Aldridge, Chief Executive of North East Process Industry Cluster NEPIC. Gentlemen, welcome. Before we get on to our main topic, Philip, can you give me an update on where you see the process sector both in the North East and further afield and the role of NEPIC?
Yes, well, the process sector is very important, and I think one of the things that shows its importance is that most of our manufacturing members have not slowed down their production during COVID. They've had to cope with distancing and being safe, etc., but they've continued to produce at normal rates. And I think this does illustrate the fact that the chemical industry is a strategic industry for the UK. And we're lucky enough in the North East to have a very large process sector. In fact, it's the second biggest process sector in the whole of Europe. So it's obviously very important. Also, I think one of the stats I like is that UK manufacturing, 95% of the output of UK manufacturing has an input from the chemical industry. So again, you can see it's very strategic and very important. Also, as part of our process sector, we have the pharmaceutical industry, and there's been great growth, especially in the north of the region, in Northumberland, from our pharmaceutical members, but also down in Billingham, where we have Fujifilm, who actually took on 180 new people, scientists, technicians, to produce one of the COVID vaccines in a very short time. And then the second part of that production was actually done down the road at Barnard Castle by GSK. So we're very important not only for petrochemicals and plastics, but also advanced manufacturing such as vaccines manufacture as well. I think there are a number of, one of the big concerns, I guess, about the process sector is that most of the companies are multinational. So they could easily move to somewhere else in the world to do their production activities. But there are a number of things happening, especially on T side, that I think are very positive at the moment. One is we're probably going to have a free port, which will give tax and other advantages for companies expanding or setting up the first time in the Tees Valley. We're also hoping to be the first industrial cluster in the world to decarbonize. And we're working hard together with TVCA and other partners to make that happen. And thirdly, there's this move towards sustainability, so that the products from the chemical industry don't result in large amounts of carbon being emitted, but you have different inputs other than petrochemicals, such as biomass, etc. And we're working with Teesside University and the Centre for Process Innovation to develop those new processes so we can sustain the industry both economically and in terms of carbon output into the future.
So that sustainability thing you were just talking about there, Philip, just turning to Steve for a second then, is that obviously you've got the sustainability for technologies for the future, but sustainability in terms of the actual infrastructure and chemical sector and process sector you have now in the area. So based on that, what are the challenges around ageing assets that we're facing?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I used to work for ICI about 40 years ago, and some of that plant's still in existence and used by, albeit they've got a different owner. So things like the legacy data will be out of date. It's aged now, hasn't maybe been maintained and kept up to scratch because obviously other pressures. I think the plants are relying on local knowledge. People have been around for decades, so a lot of the way they survive is the reliance on that local knowledge, but you've got the brain drain, people are leaving the industry, so they have to achieve more with less people. The systems are aging, you know, invariably people have still got things on paper, you know, they've got like old TIFF files and things like that, so the documents are not in great shape. And then they've also got old plant, you know, the plant's been around a long time, some of the manufacturers don't exist anymore, so it's really difficult, you know, to find your way around, and therefore they're relying on local knowledge.
So then that's where digitalisation comes in. How do you make that transition? How can companies like Fusion and the industry help the process sector achieve digitalisation?
Yeah, well, we see the same problem around the world. So obviously we've got databases and libraries with equipment for or manuals and things for equipment that have been around a long time. There's loads of technologies now for scanning and making it such that you can find a needle in a haystack. You can use laser scans to create 3Ds, and a lot of people are doing that, you know, and then you can tag that. So the technology is getting better, so you can actually smarten up and create a digital twin of an aging asset.
Excellent. So, Philip, see, digitalisation is a big subject for the process sector. How's NEPIC helping its members make that transition?
I think the other big strength of the chemical industry, obviously, on Teesside, is the rich supply chain of companies such as Fusion. And, you know, in general, we try to get companies together, the bigger companies and the service providers, represented by Fusion here today. But also we have a conference coming up, an annual conference in November on digitisation and cybersecurity, which helps share best practice between members in the Northeast. We're also involved with a government initiative, and we're about to start delivering something called Made Smarter, where companies such as Fusion and Teesside University will be involved in helping companies understand what's possible in industrial digitisation now. So I think those are the two main things, apart from, as I would reiterate, we're trying to keep our people, we network people together in order to share best practice across all our 300 members.
That's great. I mean, it's great that you could join us today to explain that, which is really good. So thank you both for your contribution, and look out for more video updates from Fusion IM on our website and social media channels.